Have you ever wondered why the Chinese community has been so economically dominant in countries like Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia, but not in Vietnam, even though Vietnam is right next to China? It's one of those paradoxes that seems simple on the surface, but opens up a much deeper story when you dig in. Today, we're diving into how history, culture, and politics shape two completely different outcomes for the same ethnic group in the same region. Across much of Southeast Asia, the Chinese diaspora has long held an outsized role in commerce. Despite making up just a small percentage of the population, sometimes under 10%, Chinese communities often control large shares of private businesses and national wealth. In Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, you'll find major corporations, banks, retail chains, and industrial groups all run by families of Chinese descent. This isn't a coincidence. Historically, waves of Chinese migration into Southeast Asia began centuries ago. Many came as traders, artisans, or laborers, often escaping poverty or unrest in southern China. They built small businesses, corner shops, noodle stalls, hardware stores, and over generations turned them into family empires. The secret? A unique combination of cultural values and business structure. Chinese communities tend to rely on family-run businesses built on trust, long-term planning, and reinvestment. They created what's called the Bamboo Network, an informal but powerful system of business ties spanning across Southeast Asia, linking relatives and partners through shared language and cultural bonds. Deals were often made based on relationships, not contracts, and money circulated quickly within the community. This close-knit structure gave Chinese entrepreneurs a big advantage, especially in places where local economies lacked strong institutions or access to capital. In many countries, colonial powers actually supported this dynamic. Under British or Dutch rule, the Chinese were often seen as ideal middlemen between the colonial government and local populations. They handled trade, collected taxes, and operated banks. This gave them not only economic power, but political leverage as well. Even after independence, their business empires continued to grow, adapting quickly to new systems while maintaining their traditional networks. So why didn't this happen in Vietnam? Vietnam, too, had a sizable Chinese population, especially in the south, in cities like Saigon. Known as the Hoa people, they were prominent in trade and commerce during the French colonial era and into the 20th century. By the 1970s, Chinese-Vietnamese businesses were thriving. But then came a turning point, the end of the Vietnam War in 1975. After reunification, the new communist government launched a sweeping campaign of nationalization. Private businesses were taken over by the state, and entrepreneurs, many of them ethnic Chinese, were labeled as capitalists and enemies of the socialist system. Thousands of Chinese-Vietnamese families lost their businesses, homes, and rights almost overnight. Around the same time, political tensions between China and Vietnam exploded. In 1979, the two countries fought a brief but brutal border war. In the years leading up to that, the Vietnamese government grew increasingly suspicious of the Hoa community, fearing they were loyal to China. This led to mass expulsions and forced migrations. Nearly 500,000 Chinese Vietnamese fled the country between 1978 and 1979, many of them becoming part of the Boat People refugee crisis. This massive outflow shattered what had been a vibrant, well-connected business community. Unlike in Malaysia or Thailand, where Chinese families could pass down their wealth and business knowledge through generations, in Vietnam, that chain was violently broken. Even today, while some Hoa families have quietly re-established small businesses, they've never regained the influence they once held. Vietnam's modern economy is dominated by state-owned enterprises, foreign investors, and ethnic Vietnamese entrepreneurs, not the Chinese minority. In the end, the difference comes down to two main factors: political systems and national identity. In most of Southeast Asia, Chinese communities were allowed, sometimes even encouraged, to thrive economically. Lunti, Bai, Diti, even if they need occasional discrimination. But in Vietnam, a combination of communist ideology, war, and suspicion toward China led to a very different outcome. So next time you see a Chinese-owned business empire thriving in Jakarta, Bangkok, or Kuala Lumpur, remember, it could have happened in Vietnam too. But history had other plans. If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're all about exploring the deeper layers behind world events, culture, and history. And trust me, there's so much more coming. Stick around. You won't want to miss what's next.